Hey students, if you were not in class on Monday, March 9th, these are the notes that we went over, and you can find these in the work folder on the wall. Okay, so the learning target for today is I can simplify an expression with a zero exponent and a negative exponent. Okay, so this is a little bit of review, hopefully, from your individual math class. It says circle the base. Well, the base in most cases is this number or letter that has an exponent on it. So in this case, it's 5. In this case, it's G. In this case, it's the 5, not the negative, okay? The exponent is the little number that's up, above, and to the right, okay? So that is also not the base, okay? The Y here is the base, not the 2, not the 5. If it's in parentheses, then that's the base. That's the base, okay? So if you circle all the bases, you should get 2, the N, not the M, or the 3, the X, not the negative or the 5, the 6G, the K, not the negative 2, and the 6, not the negative, okay? So remember, the base is usually the number or letter connected with the exponent, but it does not include the negative symbol, okay? So that negative is outside of the circle. The base can also be whatever's in the parentheses, okay? This is the base, and then the thing up to the right is the exponent. Now, examples that are not bases, all of this is not the base. The only part that's the base is the Y. Okay, same here. 4 is the base, 2 is the exponent. And also, this negative symbol is not the base. It's just the number 10. Okay? All right, moving on to page 2. So we're learning how to expand these exponents. If you take 2 to the 5th and expand it, it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and you get 32. 2 to the 4th, you get 16. 2 to the 3rd, you get 8. You can put this in Desmos, and it'll give you this answer, okay? All right, 2 to the 2nd is just 2 times 2, that gives you 4. Any number to the 1 power is itself, so like 2 to the 1 power is 2, 4 to the 1 power is 4, 3 to the 1 power is 3, and then any number to the 0 power is just 1, okay? So what is 2 to the 0 power? It's 1. 4 to the 0 power? It's 1. 3 to the 0 power? It's 1. So any base raised to the 0 power will have an answer of 1. Okay? So 9 to the 0 power is 1. Now let's look at this. The base is 12. It's not negative 12. It's just 12. Well, any number raised to the 0 power is 1. But since we have this negative out here, you use that as well. Okay? All right. Now, this time, the whole base is in parentheses. So it's this whole thing. Well, anything raised to the 0 power is just 1. Same here. 5 raised to the 0 power is 1. Divided by 4 is 1/4. Okay? And that's pretty much the same for all of these. Okay? All right. So circle the base and then simplify. Here's the base. Here's the base. Here's the base. And here's the base. All right, moving on. Now we have next negative exponents. Okay, so we've already done these. 2 to the 3rd, 2 squared, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 0, but we haven't done negative exponents. And here's how they work. You just take 2 to, let's see, 2 to the 1 gives you 2, and you bring a 1 up here if there is, I'm sorry, you bring the 2 down to the denominator if it is a negative exponent, okay? And you put a 1 on the top, okay? So basically you're making the reciprocal, all right? 2 squared is 4, right? Remember, we're making a reciprocal. So normally 2 squared is 4, which is like 4 over 1. But we're making a reciprocal, which means you flip it. So it's 1 over 4. And it doesn't stay negative. It becomes positive. Okay? Again, 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. But we need to make the reciprocal, which is 1/8, and it becomes positive. All right, the same thing for these two. A negative exponent makes the base move and then changes the sign of the exponent to positive. Okay? Remember, we made the base move to the bottom, and then we changed the sign to positive. Okay? If a negative exponent is on the bottom of a fraction, then it flips to the top. Okay? So we see this here. We have a negative exponent in the bottom, so that flips to the top. We bring it from the bottom to the top. This is like essentially over 1. Okay? So this comes to the top, and we change the sign. Okay? It's no longer negative. Okay? So for number 1, if a negative exponent is in the bottom of a fraction, then it flips to the top. If a negative exponent is in the top of a fraction, then it flips to the bottom. So this should be 2, and this should be 1. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we see 4x to the negative 3 over y. Okay, the 4 gets to stay at the top. It doesn't have a negative exponent, but the x has a negative exponent, so that goes to the bottom. Okay, the y does not have a negative exponent, so it also stays on top. Okay, let's find one where we have a negative in the top, number 4. So we have 11m to the negative 5. So the 11 gets to stay, but the m to the 5th goes to the bottom because it has this negative exponent. Okay? Now, let's find one where we have a negative in the top and the bottom. That means that this gets flipped to the top and this base gets flipped to the bottom. But the 3 stays here because it's not part of this base. So we have negative 3. Okay? This comes to the top, so it's n to the 4th. This comes to the bottom, which is m squared. Okay? All right.